All right, how's it going? It's been a while since I did one of these. I want to get back into making these more often again. I don't know if I can do it daily, but maybe once a week at least. Try and get back into this whenever I can. I've just been so busy and everything's been going on with the Rona and whatnot. But like before, if you want to follow me and stuff, subscribe star. Then if you want to support me, I got a Teespring store as well. But we'll get into this. There's like a bar, Max Bar. It's like they keep wanting to like shut it down and take away its liquor license and all that stuff, and just want to keep in and like keep building up fines, even though like 2 blocks away there's like other bars that are open. So we'll get into this. We'll start with a little video here.
This is how we change it. Right here. This, in every city, in every town, in America. This is how we make the change.
Yes, man. Let the How the do you feel? How the do you feel doing that?
Obviously, language. So there's that. It's hundreds of Staten Island protesters rally around the bar shut down for defying COVID rules. So there's been like this big issue, like certain areas of New York, or like orange zones or red zones. It feels like de Blasio is like kind of picking and choosing who they want to. Like this area, like Staten Island, I think they said Manhattan too. And there's like a lot of areas too, like a lot of the Orthodox Jewish communities are really getting slammed with these like rules and restrictions, which aren't laws. It almost feels like it's the way de Blasio is like doing this. Almost feels like it's like 1930s Germany with the way he's treating some of these people. Like once again, these aren't laws; they aren't constitutionally enforced. So people got to keep that in mind as well. So we'll get into this. Hundreds of mostly maskless protesters. Oh my God, they're maskless. Which brings up, there's been like one actual study that's come up, and the conclusion was like whether you wore your mask or not. Like the actual conclusion, like New York Times was trying to spin it a certain way, but the actual conclusion was whether you wore your mask or not. Really didn't determine whether you caught corona or not. And if you did catch corona, there's like a 99.997% chance that you're going to survive it. Unless you're above 70, then it's like 95%. But that's the way they spin stuff in the news is getting horribly crazy with the semantics and the misleading and the framing and all that stuff. Hundreds of mostly maskless protesters stood shoulder to shoulder outside a Staten Island bar on Wednesday night. Which, if it's a BLM protest, that's fine. Corona's not there. If it's a Trump rally, oh my God, it's a super spreader. Like the coronavirus is very like politically active. It only comes out like after 10 p.m. at night and stuff too. So obviously they're using this, like the corona is a real thing, but obviously they're using it as a very, very much like a political device. On Wednesday night to demonstrate against the state's coronavirus restrictions to support a tavern that was forced to shut down for floating these guidelines. The raucous scene of about 400 demonstrators in front of Mac's public house came a day after plainclothes city sheriff's deputies busted the bar, which had been operating without a liquor license, which they took it away, we'll get into later, because they were just open serving like normally, but they were still wearing masks and doing their safety distances and following all that stuff. For serving food and alcohol to patrons indoors past the 10 p.m. citywide curfew in exchange for a mandatory $40 donation. Authorities said the bar's owners previously declared the establishment an autonomous zone and had publicly taunted New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and Mayor Bill de Blasio. It's funny that, you know, like the Chaz, the autonomous zone in Seattle, was just a summer of peace and love, but if they use it here, like, no, they can't do that. It was the same thing, too, with the like certain cities wanted to declare themselves like sanctuary cities for like illegal immigrants, which was like all peace and love and everything, man. But like people are like, oh yeah, okay, so this is 2A sanctuary cities. Like, no, you can't do that, you bunch of bigots. It's like you throw the same thing back in their face, showing it what it is, and they kind of like freak out and don't understand, I guess. Sheriff's deputies arrested Max co-owner Danny Pressa on Tuesday for obstructing governmental administration, and a cook, bartender, and the bar's lawyer was also charged, according to New York Daily News. Pressa was released Wednesday. The tavern's defiance is part of a larger pushback from bars and restaurants in Staten Island, a borough largely sympathetic to President Trump. See how they start putting in these little things? They try to put this stuff in to try to like kind of mislead and twist the story. Is it the Washington Post that Bezos bought? I think it might have been. That are flouting the state and local restrictions imposed to help stop the spread of a virus that has killed more than 24,000 throughout New York City. What they also don't say is like a majority is that it's because it was because Cuomo like forced coronavirus patients into like elderly nursing homes. That was the majority of the deaths because of that, which they don't state that. But yeah, if you're like at risk, if you're older, you're the ones most at risk. Most everybody else, it's fine. The way you're going to like destroy people's lives, like the rate of suicide has like exponentially gone up this year, but we don't want to talk about that. There's been like doctors that come out against all these restrictions and everything, and when they do, they get axed off social media. They get like their Twitters, their Facebook taken down, their YouTube videos taken off because it doesn't fit the narrative of like the fear porn. And also they came out saying, it was a couple of months, it might have been a month ago or so now, like the CDC is saying, oh, there's like 200,000 people that died with the coronavirus. Also, there's only like 10,000 people that actually died of it. Like they're like with it and 2 to 3 other like post-morbidities, but only like around 10,000 have died because, like strictly solely because of it. But you don't hear a lot about that though, do you? The state is facing significant surge in coronavirus cases, which the cases doesn't affect me, only the deaths I really care about. Hospitalizations and deaths over the past week, according to data compiled by the Washington Post, it mattered little to hundreds gathered on Lincoln Avenue on Wednesday night, many of whom were waving American flags in an area described as the middle of the COVID hot zone. Who declared that? Just Cuomo or deblasio? They chanted F Cuomo and Open Up and sang songs like Twisted Sisters, We're Not Gonna Take It, and a cover of the Village People's YMCA, a staple of Trump rallies. See, they keep like wanting to put that in there too. Like that doesn't, they're like trying to like, oh, these dumb Trumpies, these dumb Trump tards. They keep wanting to push that stuff in there. People have rights, one protester yelled, reported the Daily News, open the door, I'm thirsty. Which is true. Under the Constitution, you have the right to peaceably assemble. It doesn't matter what for. Then these things are not laws that haven't gone through legislation, so they are unconstitutional. And in places like Michigan, like under Whitmer, the Supreme Court of that state has ruled that, yes, they are unconstitutional, even though she still tries to push those things. And I think they were trying to get her either recalled, Whitmer, either recalled or impeached or something like that. And here's a video of a huge group of people gathered outside the Staten Island bar in the middle of a COVID hot zone that was shut down last night by police for violating pandemic safety rules. Also, there's one guy saying like 2 blocks away, everything's open and it's fine. It's just like these little specific spots that they happen to pick and choose are the ones like the large areas of like Orthodox Jewish communities. Here's another one. Which there was another man in Michigan too. I may do a story on it some other day. They're completely destroying these people's lives. Like, all this bailout money was going to these huge corporations, all these like small business owners or what, maybe got a $1,200 check. And then what are they supposed to do if they can't pay rent? They can't pay their mortgage. They can't pay their food, their electricity, all this stuff. What are they supposed to do? Just become homeless and like starve? Max first gained attention on November 20th when the bar, ignoring cease and desist orders and piling up fines, said it planned to continue offering indoor dining even though it is illegal. The bar's owners painted an orange rectangle in front of the business to mark their declaration as an autonomous zone. We refuse to abide by any rules and regulations put forth by the mayor of New York City and the governor of New York State, the bar posted on his Facebook account. A week later, Presta said in a YouTube video the New York State Liquor Authority suspended the bar's liquor license, and they did this solely to try to punish them because they were just open and operating, not because they violated any actual laws. The board's unanimous decision came after an investigator was, The board's unanimous decision came after an investigator was prohibited from entering the bar. That day, press announced that the bar would serve alcohol and food indoors for free in exchange for a donation so that we can still pay our bills. As state officials pointed out to the Gothamist and New York Times, it is still illegal to serve alcohol for free without a liquor license. I believe the actual authority was like, I think it's like, there's another one that goes into, it's like the limousine licensure was the one trying to go in there and do it. We'll get to another article here where it actually depicts, or it says who it is. We're still here, Presta said Friday. Keep sending your agencies because they're not allowed in, and we're still going to be here. The tension erupted Tuesday night when undercover sheriff's deputies entered the bar and counted at least 14 people eating and drinking. Oh my God, 14. There's like people that like do nothing but watch like the news on TV, and they're completely enthralled in like this fear porn of like Corona that's like going around killing everybody. Deputies began ordering the bar to close immediately and began issuing tickets to employees for violating local and state restrictions. New York City Sheriff Joseph Fasciuti told ABC News. Another thing too, it seems to, maybe not with their sheriff's department, but I know in California, I think it's Garcetti and Newsom, like the LA city mayor and the governor, are like out there like trying to enforce like small Thanksgiving or like no Thanksgiving. And luckily a lot of the sheriffs out there were like, no, we're not going to enforce that. It luckily seems to be that some of the sheriffs, because the sheriffs work for like the county and not the city, so they seem to be more maybe right-leaning, and the city cops are more like left-leaning since they're actually in the cities. So they seem to understand and abide by the Constitution more. Then also the head sheriff is somebody who's actually elected, while the city, like the main guy in the city cops or whatever, is somebody that's appointed. So that seems to be an issue too, dealing with kind of like densely populated Democratic areas versus more rural, maybe conservative areas. Other charges facing Max staff included operating an unlicensed bottle club and unauthorized warehousing of alcohol. When Pressa was led away in handcuffs, protesters heckled the sheriff's deputies and yelled their support for the co-owner, state senator Andrew Lanza, a Republican representing Staten Island, told the New York Post that sheriff's deputies surrounded and physically restrained him as he was attempting to offer legal help to Presti and the bar's employees. Presti and co-owner Keith McArney did not immediately respond to a request for comment late Wednesday. Spokespeople for Cuomo and deblasio slammed the bar for putting your neighbors' lives at risk during a global pandemic to make a political statement. No, they're just trying to survive. They're not trying to make a political statement. They're literally trying to like pay their bills and pay, you know, their employees so they're able to like keep a roof over their head and like food in their stomach and like keep warm. I don't even know if this even qualifies as a global pandemic anymore, numbers wise. So that's out there. The owner is learning that actions have consequences, Cuomo spokesman Jack Sterney told the news. What really needs to happen is like more business owners that are being under these restrictions need to say, screw it, and just open and do this. If everybody does it, what are they going to do? Arrest everybody that does this? They can't do it. In a statement, Mitch Schwartz, a spokesman for deblasio, added, COVID-19 doesn't respect autonomous zones, and neither does the sheriff. Well, they didn't really respect the idea that de Blasio used taxpayer money to illegally paint like Black Lives Matter, that had like he illegally paid like 27 cops to protect that as well. So, Louis Guillermo, I don't know how to say his name, the bar's attorney, told ABC that the owners were allowed back inside the tavern on Wednesday, but the sheriff's shutdown order remains in place. Their intention is to reopen, but right now I don't think they have the authority to do it. The bar's supporters returned on Wednesday night to protest its closure. Among the hundreds were one demonstrator who had dressed up as the Grinch while holding a sign with Cuomo's face that read, "COVID is not the Grinch." While the bar is closed for the foreseeable future and the owners face considerable fines and charges, Presti promised that Max will continue his efforts according to the Staten Island Advance. "We take back Staten Island tonight." He told the crowd, "We'd take all the states back. This is how we take your country back," which is true. That's how they do it. You can't. All this goes against the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So we get into this other article too that kind of goes over the same thing. We'll get into their Facebook post right here. As of November 20th, 2020, we have declared Max Public House an autonomous zone. We would like to clarify what this means specifically to us and how we'll operate business going forward. The simple answer to most questions is Max will be doing business as usual. In the event of a shutdown, we will continue to stay open. We will still wear masks, take the same safety precautions we had in place, maintain daily cleanings, and work in a responsible manner to the best of our abilities. What we will not be doing is living in fear. By fear, we mean the constant threat of our local, city, and state governments sending agencies in to check up, fine, and threaten to shut us down. Every day, small businesses are living in fear, not just of this virus, but that our governments will take our livelihoods away, even as we're being safe. Just to clarify, we acknowledge this virus as a real threat and are still taking necessary precautions. What we do not acknowledge is that our government has the right to shut us down when we're operating in a safe manner. The Taxi and Limousine Commission should have zero say in the authority on how we should operate. That was the one commission I was talking about earlier. And any other agency the city and state decides to send in. We should not live in fear of our government. And this is how we felt for almost an entire year. At the time when our local government should have assisted and helped us, they have done exactly the opposite. This is a vote of no confidence of the leadership of the city and state. We are New Yorkers, and we are stubborn, and we are proud, but more importantly, we are a community. We need to be there for each other, and we promise Max Public House will be there for each and every one of you. We hope you have a great holiday, and you and your family are safe. When you're ready, Max will be here doing business as usual. This kind of goes into here. Let's talk about yellow zone, orange zone, red zone. Kind of got it listed out here. Then actually they have a GoFundMe. Right now they have like 86,150 raised to 500,000. And they have some updates as well if you want to donate to them. So it's GoFundMe.com. Then you can like kind of go into Max. If you go to their Facebook page, it should be like their pinned post. There's more of this. New York City bar owner who defied coronavirus-related restrictions by hosting patrons indoors has been arrested after plainclothes officers went into establishment and ordered food and beverage indoors. The proprietor of Max Public House, Danny Presti, has declared that his bar and restaurant was an autonomous zone. Demonstrators confronted the police outside of Max Public House as deputies arrested Presti. This is kind of like what happened either last week or the week before. There was a barbecue house in Canada, although Canada doesn't have the same rights that Americans have, but they essentially shut down a barbecue house up. I can't remember what city it was in, but it was up in Canada. I think it's BJ's. They shut down like a barbecue place because they were operating. They're like, the same time, like these businesses are like trying to make a living, pay their bills, pay their employees so they can pay their bills, and they're shutting down and fining and arresting them. But they're also at the same time wanting to let go, criminals out of jail because of Corona. So it's like these two opposing things, which doesn't make sense. Then we got here a video, obviously language. This guy cusses a lot, but it's interesting to watch.
All right, I'm out here in front of Max Public House, 130 Lincoln Avenue, being raided by the fucking sheriff's department, okay? This tiny little place trying to make a fucking living, okay? 350 people on an airplane, thousands of planes, okay? This close to each other. Costco's open, Home Depot, people lined up, backed up with each other. This guy can't open his fucking business. It's shame on you fucking people. Shame on everybody for letting this fucking happen. There should be 1,000 people out here right now while they're getting fucking raided by the goddamn Gestapo. Tomorrow is Wednesday at 6 o'clock p.m. I want this fucking street shut down with 10,000 fucking people. Because if we don't show up and show fucking face, we're going to lose this whole fucking battle. Disgusting. You should all be fucking disgusted with yourselves. If they fear you, they won't fuck with you. You understand what I'm saying? Get the fuck out here tomorrow night, Wednesday. Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock in front of Max Public House. This is disgusting.
And this looked like this was filmed on December 2nd, so it would have been this last Wednesday. And I actually did a video on him, because I think he's like a conservative artist in like the, what do you call it, the New York tri-state area. But he's like down there helping to protest as well. This kind of goes over more of the same stuff. Then we got another video here. Sheriffs temporarily moved in on protesters appeared to be dancing on the sheriff's car ram rack. They soon after retreated. Protesters continued outside Maxwell House Staten Island bar, shut down after being declared autonomous zone. I want to get into the aspect too, is that there is like when you get to the dealing with the police, you have kind of like, if we want to go on right and left, you have like the left wanting to say to defund the police, and you normally have the right saying, back the blue. But so with that, you have like the right and the conservatives being one that usually, defend the police. But if you have the police coming out here enforcing like unconstitutional edicts, like I guess this goes out to any police officers, like any support that you would have from them, you're not going to get anymore. So when the left goes like, we're going to defund the police, you're not going to have any help from the conservatives. We're just going to be like, all right, whatever. If you can't even like enforce or keep your oath of the Constitution, like I'm not going to support you. But let's watch this.
Where were these people when Black Lives Matter and Antifa were burning down our town? Where were they?
That's what I was talking about earlier. They had Black Lives Matter going through. And it's funny, was it maybe March or April or something like that? You had like nurses outside like clapping. Like, yes, racism is worse than Corona. Yes. I'm I don't know if people are such, it sounds like people are such sheep, or they're so easily manipulated, or they're mentally inept, or they're just scared, or whatever it is. But like the way that they play into this is insane.
Fucking pandering to the bullshit!
There's just more of them. They have them playing. I don't want to get it struck by YouTube, but they're playing like the Twisted Sister I was talking about. And this is more of an updated thing that came out on December 6th. So, Staten Island bar owner who protested lockdowns arrested against after refusing to close business. Is saying Danny Presto, who operates Mac's Public House on Staten Island in New York City, has been arrested again for refusing to shut down his business, which I don't think he should. I think he should continue to operate in defiance of Cuomo and deblasio, and other business owners should do so as well if you're in areas like New York or California or Illinois or Michigan. The arrest came on Saturday night after New York Sheriff's deputies saw customers going into Mac's through the back entrance. They observed food and beverages being served to willing customers who were not wearing face masks. Oh, my God. Reported local news NY1. When Presti left for the night after 12 a.m., sheriff's deputies attempted to arrest him, at which point he resisted. They issued him a summons, one of many that have been piling up for violations of the governor's emergency orders restrictions to shutter businesses and force them out of business if they cannot financially withstand closures. While resisting arrest, Presti got in his car and attempted to drive off, whereupon he hit an officer with his car. He was stopped approximately 100 yards later, was arrested and taken to the 122nd precinct. The officer was taken to a local hospital, and his conditions this morning was unknown. We are currently interviewing eyewitnesses who contradict the sheriff's version of the events, says Presti's lawyers Mark Fontaine, who also possessed video footage of the incident. I expect Danny to be arraigned this morning. We anticipate the bumbling sheriffs to pull a stunt like this, so we had Danny under surveillance the whole time. More details to follow. So it seems like on Monday, police arrested Presti in his establishment for the crime of operating his business. The arrest came after plainclothes officers from New York City Sheriff's Department entered the bar and ordered food. So, I mean, with this last part here, it almost sounds like they expected the sheriffs to try to pull something like that, so they had him like under surveillance. So we'll see what goes on with that. But like I said, you can like follow me on Subscribestar. Like I said, I'm trying to get back into this when I can. It's just I'm working like, I don't know, like 11 hours a day or something like that right now. But I'm trying to get back into this when I can and post more to this. And of course, I got the Teespring if you want to check some of this stuff out here as well. I'm kind of curious what your thoughts on this are. I mean, like I've said throughout the whole video, I think that sheriffs and cops should uphold their oath to the Constitution. They shouldn't try to enforce rules and regulations that go against the Constitutional, that aren't laws, that weren't passed through the legislature. And the fact that they're like trying to strip. That's another thing too. I heard the reason they're going after like restaurants and bars is like it's really easy to like kind of strip their like liquor license away, because all over the place you've been hearing like the different states where they're trying to go after restaurants and bars because it's so easy to like mess with them with their liquor license and whatnot, because there's a big issue with that. But also, you can go to the GoFundMe. Hopefully, it stays up. There seems to be a lot of times where like more, because who knows what their actual political leanings is. But if you go to the mainstream news, anybody that's for like actually working and actually supporting their own business are now like far right extremists or whatever. Like they're just trying to, you know, operate their business and pay their bills and pay their employees, when clearly the government hasn't helped. They've came in and helped like all these big corporations, you know, like the airplane business and all these other places with like multi-million-dollar, you know, stimulus packages and all this stuff. But like most of business, I think the majority of business are small businesses in America. I think it's like 52% or something like that. But I mean, with all this, Rona stuff going on, it could be like a ton of those are going to close and never come back open. And I've heard some people saying that this is going to be the biggest like transfer of wealth from like the poor to the rich because of what's going on. Because if you looked at like Amazon stock earlier this year, is sitting around 1,800, 1,600, and now it's like doubled. It's like 3,200 because a ton of people can't or won't, go out to like local stores or whatnot. So they order from Amazon. So Amazon's they're like essentially able to profit from everything that's going on. Like Amazon, like all these tech things like Zoom is going up, its stock or whatever is going up crazy. But let me know what you think. Like I said, I'm stopped up. I'm going to try to do this more often as I can. If you want to like and subscribe on YouTube, that'd be great. If you want to like and follow on Facebook as well, that'll be great. If you want to support me on Subscribestar, that would be awesome. And I guess I'll plug the Teespring one more time. I got to come up with some more designs there. I don't know how long that's going to last. I kind of had like some OIF stuff going on. But all right, I think that's it. It's a little rambly. My nose is a little stopped up, but all right. Peace. Later.